Have you ever run into like a self-improvement thing, and you're like, this sounds kind of too good to be true?
I know exactly what you mean.
That's kind of how I feel about the Sedona Method.
Okay, yeah.
Like the idea of releasing negative emotions to like unlock potential.
Yeah.
It's intriguing.
Yeah.
But also like, how does that actually work?
Right. Well, I think a healthy dose of skepticism is a good thing when it comes to any method promising huge transformation.
For sure.
There's a lot out there in the self-improvement world making big claims.
Right.
So let's break this down, the Sedona Method, and see what we think, if it holds up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've got their website. We found some testimonials. And honestly, I'm super curious.
Good.
The website mentions this guy, Lester Levinson, right? He's like the originator of this whole thing. And they've got books and courses, even audio recordings.
Wow.
But the title that like really caught my eye was Happiness is Free.
Of course. Who wouldn't be drawn to that, right?
Exactly.
It taps into this like universal yearning we all have, for joy and feeling fulfilled.
Yeah, totally.
But getting down to it, the core of what they're proposing seems to be all about identifying and then releasing negative emotions. Right?
Okay.
The ones that hold you back, like you can think of deeply ingrained beliefs.
Yeah.
The ones that tell you you're not good enough or you'll never reach your dreams.
Yeah, I know those.
So the Sedona Method says by releasing those, you open this like pathway to more happiness, success, a better life.
Okay, so like tackling those sneaky beliefs, those can really mess you up. But their likely results page, it kind of takes it a step further.
How so?
They have some, honestly, pretty bold claims there.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
They talk about people who are going for, say, financial success, but then they find improvements in their relationships or even their health first.
Interesting.
It's like they're suggesting this domino effect.
Yeah. Think about tackling like a root emotion, like maybe insecurity.
Yeah.
And then you see this ripple effect going out to all these different areas of your life.
Wow, that's wild.
Great. So it's like if you focus on that emotional foundation, maybe the rest just kind of slots into place more easily.
Right.
Of course, they also emphasize that everyone's going to have their own, individual experience. You've got to practice consistently, take responsibility. There are no shortcuts here.
Yeah, it's not magic.
Right. It's about showing up.
It makes you wonder, though, how do they actually do it? What's the process they use to make this happen?
Well, from what I gather, it's all about first recognizing when you're stuck.
Oh.
Stuck in that negative emotion, you acknowledge it without judgment, and then you consciously choose to let it go.
Let it go. Okay.
Yeah, like imagine you're feeling angry. First, you just acknowledge, okay, I'm feeling angry right now.
Right.
No judgment, just an observation. And then you picture it dissolving, like smoke, just disappearing.
Okay.
But they're clear that this isn't a one and done kind of thing. It's a
Right.
cycle. Release, reflect, and gradually you shift toward those more positive states, those positive emotions.
So you're catching yourself in the act and then choosing to go a different way. That actually reminds me of mindfulness or even like cognitive behavioral therapy.
Right.
That focus on like awareness and repetition seems to be a common thread.
Definitely. A lot of self-help techniques have those core principles in common.
Yeah.
But what I find interesting about the Sedona Method is how much they emphasize self-reflection and honesty.
Oh, okay.
Like they want you to face those really deep-seated patterns.
Yeah.
The ones you might not even know are there, like an emotional archaeological dig or something.
I love that. An archaeological dig, that's great. But that makes you think, how long does it take to see results with that kind of deep work?
Right.
And what about those who don't really know how to identify their feelings yet? Can this method still work for them?
That's a really good question. Those are really good questions. And, like with personal growth, it's not like a one-size-fits-all.
Right, of course.
But they seem to really stress patience and persistence.
Okay.
It's more like a journey,
Yeah.
figuring yourself out rather than some like quick fix.
Yeah.
It's like they're saying, hey, put in the effort, it'll be worth it, but like be ready to work.
So it's about that, like embracing the gradual change instead of looking for instant results.
Exactly.
It's like growing a garden.
Yeah.
You don't just get like flowers overnight.
Right.
But it does make you wonder about the method. Like, does it get any easier? Or are you always having to like consciously choose to release those negative emotions?
Well, that's what's so cool. They actually say that it becomes more natural with practice.
Okay.
Like you're building a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Right.
So eventually letting go of that negativity, it's less of a conscious effort and more of like an automatic response.
So like rewiring your brains, like those pathways, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Cool.
Making room for those positive emotions to come through more easily. That makes sense. But what about the people who aren't like as in touch with their emotions?
Yeah.
The ones who maybe don't even recognize what they're feeling.
That's where the self-reflection being such a core part is really key.
Oh.
Because as you practice identifying and then releasing those negative emotions, you're actually getting more and more familiar with your inner world in general.
Right.
It's like you're turning up the volume.
Yeah.
And suddenly you're noticing all these subtle things in how you feel that maybe you would have missed before.
It's not just about letting go, but also understanding yourself better in the process. It's like a 2-for-1 deal.
Right.
But we've been focusing on the good stuff. Are there any downsides to think about? Anything about the Sedona method that gives you pause?
Well, I do think it's important, to approach any method with a critical eye.
Of course.
As excited as we might be by the possibility of positive change, there isn't like a ton of scientific research specifically on the Sedona method.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean it can't be effective, but a healthy amount of caution is never a bad thing.
Right. Got to approach it with a skeptical but open mind.
Exactly.
Like a good detective.
Yeah.
So we've looked at the claims, how it supposedly works, and even, potential drawbacks.
Yeah.
But for someone listening who's like, this kind of speaks to me, I'm interested, what should their next step be?
I'd say just dive in, but do it with a genuine curiosity. Explore what they have, see if their approach feels right for you, personally.
Yeah.
Because what clicks for one person might not for another.
It's about finding what fits your journey, right?
Exactly.
But even if the Sedona method isn't the answer, just seeking out these self-improvement tools, engaging in self-reflection, that's got to be a good thing on its own, right?
Oh, absolutely.
A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step.
Right.
That's it.
Cliche, but true.
And the Sedona method, it's one path of many.
Yeah.
The important thing is finding what works for you, what supports your own, unique growth.
And sometimes the paths you least expect lead to the coolest discoveries.
I like that. But before we totally wrap up on the Sedona method, something to think about. We've talked about releasing negative emotions, but what about those deep down beliefs about ourselves? The ones maybe fueling those emotions in the first place?
Whoa. Yeah, you're right. It's like we've been focused on what are those? The leaves, the branches.
Yeah.
But what about those roots way down deep?
The roots, right?
Those core beliefs we carry, things like I'm not worthy or I'm not capable.
Right, yeah.
Those can be the real forces shaping how we feel without us even realizing it.
Totally. So are those beliefs, are they just emotions in disguise, or is there something more to it? Like, could we prevent some of those negative emotions if we tackled those root beliefs directly?
You're really onto something there. Makes me think about how our thoughts, our feelings, and those beliefs, they're all connected, right?
Yeah.
It's like those beliefs are the soil, and our emotions are the plants that grow from it.
Okay.
If we can somehow change the soil, well, then we might be able to grow a whole new emotional garden,
It's a really cool way to think about it. It leaves us with a lot to unpack. Like, do those limiting beliefs really shape everything? Or are our emotions just like a reflection of those deeper things? Maybe it's a little of both, right?
Probably, right. It's like this back and forth between what we're conscious of and what's going on under the surface.
Exactly. And that's what I find so fascinating about, personal development.
Me too.
It's this journey of constantly discovering new things about yourself.
Yeah.
The Sedona method, it might be one way to approach it.
For sure.
But at the end of the day, it really is about each person finding what works for them, what helps them grow in their own way, right?
Absolutely.
So, to everyone listening, if the Sedona method and this idea of releasing negativity to unlock your potential, if it speaks to you, go for it. See if it fits into your own personal growth goals.
Yeah, check it out.
Read their stuff, see if it clicks. And remember, approach everything with, a healthy sense of curiosity, but also a critical eye.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
That wraps up this deep dive on the Sedona method. Until next time, stay curious, friends, and keep your minds open to, just how much we can all transform ourselves.
Love it.